Hello everyone. You may have noticed that we had a badge or the logo of the State of Israel on our publications. A few years ago, the Ministry of Science and Technology and Space understood that it's really important to learn from the Holocaust for today, to learn relevant issues. And we got a researcher, and I'll just say the name, and Miriam will say everything else, which is about medicine, morbidity, and childhood during and after the Holocaust, a multidisciplinary study of the Holocaust and its relevance to the 21st century. And we are now in the final stages of this grant, and they were supposed to be here with us, seeing us present our work. Of course, they didn't make it. But not him. Generally, they are not here. But and we do have one of the experts who is overseeing our work, which is Dr. Alex Israel, and he recorded. He couldn't come for health reasons. He recorded a greeting. It's in Hebrew, so if you get Hebrew, you understand. It's only 2.5 minutes less than, and then we move back to English.
שלום וברכה, בוקר טוב. אני מאוד מבקש לברך את כל משתתפי הכנס החשוב של משרד החדשנות, המדע והטכנולוגיה. אני באמת מאוד שמח להגיע לזכות בכך שמשרד החדשנות תמך במחקר כל כך חשוב ומשמעותי בנושא כואב והדגש ובעל חשיבות מדעית ויישומית מאוד מאוד רבה. אני מקווה מאוד שהכנס יהפוך למסורת, וכמובן נקודת ציון מאוד מאוד חשובה. הרשו לי בהזדמנות הזאת להודות לכל צוות המחקר, כמובן לד"ר מרים עופר הבלתי נלאה, לסיעתה החשובה ועל השותפות במשך מספר שנים, ולשותפיה דוקטור הדס ששלבסקי, כמובן ממשיכה דרכו, של פרופסור שאול שאשא, זיכרונו לברכה, ודוקטור בועז כהן, באמת צוות יוצא מן הכלל של החוקרות והחוקרים, כמובן גם לרשות המחקר שככה כל הזמן מחברת בין המשרד לבין החוקרות והחוקרים במכללה, ניסי בן דוד, פרופסור ניסי בן דוד, נשיא המכללה, כמובן, שוב, זו זכות גדולה ואני מאוד מאוד שמח בכך שמשרד החדשנות, המדע והטכנולוגיה יוכל לתרום תרומה צנועה להעמקת ידע בנושא שהוא כל כך חשוב לעולם כולו, לעם היהודי, למדינת ישראל, גם בהיבט המדעי, גם בהיבט הלקחים הכואבים והמורכבים שניתן להפיק, ואני מבקש לכם לעומק הלב, כנס פורה, כנס מהמבנה, ללמד, וכמובן המשך עשייה והעמקה בנושא כל כך חשוב ומשמעותי. תודה רבה, והצלחה רבה ובשורות טובות. תודה רבה.
Okay, so during 2019 we own a grant from the Ministry of Science in the field of Holocaust research within the humanities. The research we submitted, as Boaz said, was about medicine, morbidity and childhood during and after the Holocaust, a multidisciplinary study of the Holocaust and its relevance to the 21st century. This project includes 3 research groups of physicians and historians. One group, headed by the late Professor Shaul Shasha, with Dr. Hadas Shasha, Director of the Pediatric Nephrology at the Galilee Medical Center, and Professor Lital Keinan Boker, Deputy or Director, yes? Director of the Israel Center for Disease Control, dealt with promoting the study of the morbidity of children of Holocaust survivors who suffered from hunger while pregnant during the Holocaust. The effects on the second and third generation were examined. The second group, headed by Dr. Boaz Cohen, dealt with childhood during the Holocaust and the rehabilitation of these children after the Holocaust. The third group, headed by me, dealt with advancing the study of medical activity during the Holocaust, with emphasis on the Jewish medical activity in the ghettos on the eve of, during, and after the Holocaust. The 3-year grant was received at the end of 2019 and was extended to 4 years. We express our thanks to the Ministry of Science and Technology for the grant that has enabled us to advance important studies on medicine, morbidity, and childhood during and after the Holocaust. Despite the challenges of the COVID pandemic, diverse research activity produced many studies. Some of them had been started earlier and received a significant boost with the grant, and others started and were based completely on the grant. I invite Dr. Adas Shashalavsky to present a report of her group study of hunger and morbidity, and then Dr. Boaz Cohen on childhood during and after the Holocaust, and I will then summarize the research conducted by my group. So Adas, please.
Thank you, Miriam. So our research group is, as Miriam said, was headed by my father and now myself and Dr. Lital Kenan-Boker. She is the head of the ICDC, and I will show lots of background and no results, but what we're doing. So we are looking about, after we showed mainly my father's group and other groups that there are late health conditions that related to hunger disease of the Holocaust survivor, there was a question, what about those who were born in the Holocaust? And I guess you know that there were pregnancy and deliveries during the Holocaust under hunger situations, and this article summarizes 12 adults who were born in concentration camps, and you can see that there are some health conditions that they report as adults who were born in the Holocaust. But this is a very small cohort, and it's very hard to conclude from this. The first and most robust data came from the Dutch hunger study. I believe that some of you know about it, but I will go over it shortly. There was a real hunger in the Dutch famine during 6 months between November 44 till May 45, with food restriction that was between 400 and 800 calories a day. It's a real hunger, and what was very important, that there was a very detailed clinical record of all the people there in Arenham. And 20 years later, a cohort of military recruits had high blood pressure, and doctors who were examining them tried to find what is the reason for a little cohort of young people having high blood pressure. And it turned out that they were born in Arenham during the famine, during these 6 months of hunger. And a group of researchers looked over the whole cohort of those who were exposed to hunger, and especially those who were born during the hunger, during the famine. And they found, first of all, low birth weights of those who were exposed to hunger in utero. And it was more, it affected more those who were exposed to hunger during late pregnancy. They found differences between early pregnancy exposure and late pregnancy, and those effects, so I said about a low birth weight, and the other thing is impaired glucose tolerance. It's something like a pre-diabetes condition, and so they showed that those who were exposed to the famine in utero in the mid or late gestation had impaired glucose tolerance, and others had also obesity and increased rates of chronic heart disease. These results, this observation, were also found in other situations of hunger, for example, the siege in Leningrad, and there was also higher rates of obesity and hypertension in the adult survivors who were born during the siege in Leningrad. And so my father's group first tried to check this in Holocaust survivors in Israel, and they did few researches. I will show two studies. One was with detailed questionnaires done with interviews for 70 Holocaust survivors who were born in the Holocaust and reported their health condition, and they showed after comparing the results to a control group that they had higher rates of hypertension, dyslipidemia, and heart diseases, pulmonary diseases, and arthritis and other. They didn't get significant results, statistically significant results regarding diabetes, MI, and heart failure and CVA, and that is why they did, and with me also, a larger study with a larger cohort in cooperation with the Clalit Medical Services, with a larger cohort of Holocaust survivors who were born in the Holocaust, and here we found higher rates of metabolic syndrome, CVA, ischemic heart disease in those who were born in the Holocaust. So the idea is called FOAD, is fetal origin of adult disease, and it was shown and replicated in many other studies, and I don't have the time to talk about it, but it was demonstrated that influences in utero causes adult diseases. And the question now, what about next generation? Does it run in the families? And it was shown in animal models that if the first generation is exposed to hunger, then the first generation will have low birth weight, but also next generation until third generation, low birth weight is still evident in the late generation, although the next generation are not exposed to hunger. So our question is if there is a transgenerational effect of the prenatal exposure to the hunger in the next generation. And the group of Arenham looked at it, and they didn't find the differences they were willing to find, but I think it is because they did it very early. The participants were 37 years, the mean age was 37 years, and it's a little bit early to look for these conditions. And here I come to our study. With the grant of the ISF, we are looking for the transgenerational transmission of health conditions in offsprings of Holocaust survivors in Israel, and we are doing it in a very similar way that we did in the first generation. We are doing one study with questionnaire-based interviews of a second and third generation of Holocaust survivors who were born in the Holocaust, and we already completed the data collection with 65 participants, and we are doing a statistical analysis comparing the results to a larger group, control group. And the other research group headed by Lital Kenan Boker is doing a big data study using the registry of the ICDC and looking for Holocaust survivor offspring. And you see the numbers. This is a big data study with 74,073 participants, and they cross-link it to registries of diseases in the ICDC. So to the registry of cancer and dialysis and all of this. and they did already the linkage, and now they're working on the statistical analysis, and we are looking forward to hear the results, maybe in our conference in our area. So this is the report from our group.
Okay. Because many of the people speaking had their personal doctor stories in the family, I entered this study. Actually, all our work with the ministry started because of our interest in the relevance of the child rehabilitation. I mean, on my part, child rehabilitation after World War II and the Holocaust and its relevance for children today. Together with Dr. Verena Buser of Berlin, we established this group, Children of Holocaust and Genocide. We think that historians can help people today with their knowledge. You can see the subjects that are on the table are like rehabilitation, family reunification, educational issues, voice of children, fostering, adoptions. All these are issues that exist before, exist after the Holocaust and exist today in war zones. We've been doing for the last 7 years, I know this, I've gone away from workshops, bringing together people who research children after the Holocaust and people who work today with child refugees from war zones, either in Germany, in Greece, with Yazidi children in Kurdistan, wherever. We are bringing these people together to hear one another. So my research in this group was looking to learn for the future. So I wrote an historical paper. Thank you, Natalia, for being my editor and pushing me to do it. It'll be published in the next, I don't know, next polling issue, wherever that will be.
In a few months already.
Wow. So I was looking at how child rehabilitation took place in Poland after World War II. I was looking at Jewish children. And there are some issues that I think are always there. We talked about trust. I mean, people working with children understood that the issue of children after the war, children who underwent war or Holocaust, we are talking Jewish children in this sense, will have a lot of problems, and it will be very problematic for the adults to work with these children. This was really clear. So the question is, who are these children? Can we work with them? Did we lose them because of their war experience? Because children learned not to trust anyone. Children learned that lying is the best way of survival. Children learned that to forsake their Jewish identity, because this was something very important for survival. So the question was, children didn't go to school. So actually, children had to develop social skills of survival, but not social skills of solidarity, or living in an organized community. So these issues were discussed all the time after the war, and people were working by trial and error. I was looking at the issue of regaining trust. I was looking at the issue of reclaiming Jewish identity, and we're not talking about, I mean, it was very obvious to people working with children, to most of them, that you can't force anyone to choose an identity. This is something that the children have to accept, to take on themselves. We were talking about social skills, self-government. It was a very strong issue in children's homes. How much power do you give the children? Are the children your patients, or are they their collaborators? Are you working with them or telling them what to do? So all these issues were debated a lot. The question of how do you bring back children to school, how important is schooling? So I was looking at this. I'm now looking at my next project in this grant, which I only have first draft. is about child rehabilitation in prison settings, meaning child rehabilitation in Cyprus, in the camps in Cyprus. We are talking about children in detention camps, in terrible conditions. The adults are also in terrible conditions, not only the children. We are talking about children in very harsh conditions and very harsh psychological conditions from being placed in a camp with a barbed wire and stuff. There was a lot of activity, education activity in the camps in Cyprus, but much of it, we know about it from the eyes of the Zionist organizations or Jewish organizations working there. I was interested to see how the children or their counselors, the ones who came with them from Europe, how did they see this? And I'm working on this, and hopefully one day it will also be completed, but we have it at the beginning. Miriam.
Yes. In the study of the history of Jewish medicine during the Holocaust, thanks to the grant, we succeeded in building collaborations for several research initiatives. Some of them have been published. A book, a collection of articles on the subject with Sabine Hildenbrand and Michael Rodin, who died just a few weeks ago. So this is the book. Recognizing the past in the present, new studies on medicine before, during, and after the Holocaust. Professor Michael Grodin made a great contribution to the study of medicine during the Holocaust. May his memory be for a blessing. Another project was a collaboration to the study of medicine during the Holocaust. Another project was a collaboration with Nashim Journal, issue 36, that on our initiative was devoted to Jewish women's studies and the gender issue, Jewish women medical practitioners in Europe before, during, and after the Holocaust. Yes, you can see it here. In addition, we cooperate with Korot. Where is it? Yes, the Israel Journal of, the editor is here, Kenneth Collins. The Israel Journal of the History of Medicine and Science also collaborated with us, and with Professor Shmuel Reis, we edited issues 26 that was dedicated to the subject education and ethics in the shadow of the history of medicine during the Holocaust. In addition, we published articles examining the Jewish medical activity in the ghettos from a broad perspective in Polin Journal. Yes, Natalia, this is for you. Jewish medical activity in the ghettos under the Nazi regime, characteristics and the broad historical context. We published an article on ethical issues that faced the medical staff in the ghettos, thoughts on the ethical dilemmas of Jewish physicians in the ghettos in Poland during the Holocaust and the relevance for today, and an article on the writing of Dr. Mordechai Lenski from the Warsaw Ghetto, their doctor, the writings of Mordechai Lenski during the interwar period based on ego documents, very interesting, the family archive. We also published an article on the fate of physicians in Stavropol, the fate of Jewish medical staff of the medical institutes in the city of Stavropol during the Holocaust, and a few others. Recently, I wrote an article with Yosef Komem, a survivor of the Kalish ghetto, about the Jewish hospital in Kalish during the Holocaust. It is a fascinating article, and I hope we will find a suitable journal for its publication very soon. Thank you very much.